If you've never had all your advisors, banker, lawyer, accountant, financial advisor, and someone like us to lead that crew in the same room together, you should have. That is a turning point. That is a moment in time.
This ain't your daddy's ball game for farming. This is an investment. There's tens of millions of bucks involved.
You're happy to exit. You had this tremendous career in farming, but yet, what am I going to do?
It probably started originally, it would have been either a lawyer or an accountant that we needed some help with on a larger operation. And from that farm, it became apparent that we need to have more of these conversations because the tax implications, the structure of the sale, the timing, is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it over 4 years? Potential title changes prior going to market. I've seen so many times when there's privately land and corporately owned land, and maybe some of that should be moved around. I've seen times where there's mom and dad and one of the kids on title, and that, if you sell it in that fashion, has tax implications. And who can answer that better than their accountant? And who can answer better how to structure if there's a corporation involved than the lawyer? So that's kind of where it started. And then it became an every farm thing, where one of my early discussions with the potential client was, have you talked to your lawyer? Have you talked to your accountant? If you haven't, let's do that. Better yet, let's do that together. So if there was one main takeaway that I think anybody considering a transition should be thinking about, if you've never had all your advisors, banker, lawyer, accountant, financial advisor, and someone like us to lead that crew in the same room together, you should have. That is a turning point. That is a moment in time. And I will share an example from a few years ago. I sat with a couple of brothers, and the one's married, one's not. That's irrelevant. But we sat with their lawyer and their accountant on video. At the end of that meeting, the look of stress relief and just the air, the tightness came out of the room, because they had no clue. They were so confused. What do we do? How do we handle this? And they had a substantial farm. But that initial meeting is like, wow, I cherish those moments. I feel so good for the clients after they've had them. And they're like, thank you for that. And then the whole process moves forward a lot easier after that. That meeting with all the advisors is absolutely huge. And one more note on that. We like doing that because we're not accountants, and we're not lawyers, and we're not bankers, and we're not financial advisors. But we do understand marketing and how to set up marketing farms and or purchasing of more farms, and the process that goes with that. Yeah, you need someone to lead that process, and that's where we come in. And we've done it. We've done it many times, and we love it. We love doing it.
I can really relate to that conversation. I've had that conversation. I've been sat down by the experts and told where we're at, and the big reveal of how the succession planning went. So I wanted to get to you right away, Tim, to backfill on that a little bit, but with much due love and respect to our audience, we've got some questions coming in here already. So Harry Siemens is asking, recurring question he keeps asking, $300 an acre in 1967 was a record price we paid on our farm. Holy doodle. And then today in the Winkler area, we are hearing 5,000 to 10,000, even 15,000. Are you bidding it up, Harry? Is it you? Well, how do farmers make that work, especially with increasing costs and fluctuation? Is it about what your cap rate is on the old land that you bought? But that really speaks to the whole thing of like, this ain't your daddy's ball game for farming. This is an investment. There's tens of millions of bucks involved. Who wants to take that one? One of my panelists take that
Well,
on.
it is. It's really challenging, kind of at these prices, right? At all-time highs, and just kind of the general way the market is right now. It's, people are uncertain. Do we step out and kind of take that risk on at those prices, right? And But it still makes sense to buy land that is strategic for your farm at these prices, as long as you really considered all the risk and mitigated that as well as you can, right? But it's also time horizon too, right? If you're only going to farm another 4 or 5 years, maybe timing is important, and this will be a precipitous to maybe deciding to exit anyways.
I think that speaks to what we were talking about earlier about how emotional buying land is. And this framework is actually more than you'd think, because we think about it just at the end of something, but during the strategic decision making. And I think this is one of the biggest problems you can solve for people on planet Earth today. If you have a choice about buying land, what do you do? And how do you sleep at night? And how do you know if it's the right thing or not? But if you built in a strategic framework, it's just like being in the markets. You have a discipline. You've already made the decision. Does it fit your criteria? You're not going to color outside the lines. You're providing that decision-making framework during the building of the build to sell. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say, like, as it relates to an exit, right? Like, Wade and I, we've had, clients in this that have taken 1 year to 2 years to do this. When we take that time to be strategic about it, it also allows them to go through some of these emotions. Because you're going to have conflicting emotions, right? You're happy to exit. You had this tremendous career in farming, but yet, what am I going to do, right? And where am I going to go? And so when you take time to kind of really fully process that you're getting ready to exit, that helps you process those emotions. And that's important too, right? Whereas if you just go straight to the market and you put it on the market, now you got to go through that cycle in 1 month. And that is hard, right? So anyway, that's one of the benefits to taking time and collaborating with everyone on your dream team, right? To establish the playbook to exit.